Okay. Can everybody hear me okay? So, this is a live that I'm doing specifically for a lot of you people out there so that you avoid having to go to jail and avoid just completely and totally looking like an idiot. There is people out there, specifically one guy, who is talking about various things as it applies to copyrights, saying that Jeremy does not have his copyright registered and therefore it's not valid. If you believe that, um, you're not incredibly smart. Copyrights, okay? Now, copyrights they're a good thing. It helps content creators such as myself keep their intellectual property. I'm the one that created it, I'm the one that owns it. Now, just because I created it, does that mean there's a copyright? Technically, yes. As the content creator, I have the right to do whatever I want to do with that copyright. However, many copyright owners will publish their stuff and they consider it royalty free, meaning anyone can use it, they don't have to pay them. There's also things out there such as fair use, where you can use a portion or all of it if you change it a little bit, or if you put it out there for social commentary, if you put it out for news purposes, if you put it out for educational purposes. That's fair use, okay? Fair use is a totally different concept than copyright. It's a way to get around a copyright, but a lot of people, as Jeremy said, a lot of people screw up fair use, and that is 100% true. Jeremy is absolutely on point when he says people screw up fair use. They do. And a lot of it's just because some people think you can use fair use for everything. Other people think you can't use fair use for anything. With copyrights, here's all you have to do with a copyright. I'm going to turn off the background music. All you have to do with a copyright is you have to exercise your copyright. What does exercise my copyright? You just have to say, I created this and I own it. I'm going to give you some examples here. And for those of you who are watching on YouTube, I'm going to show you something right here. Here is what I do. Now, all of you guys, you've seen my Facebook right here. Okay, intro, all original media copyrighted. Guess what, folks? What is that? That is me exercising my copyright. So if you go onto my Facebook page and there's something there that you've never seen before, it's brand new, guess what? It's mine. I own it. I've got it all. Amazing, isn't it? That is all you have to do. That's it. Now, are there government websites and other websites where you can register your copyright? Yes, there are. It's not a requirement, folks. It is not a requirement at all. And I understand that some of you are probably like, yeah, I don't believe Mike. He's full of BS. Okay. Um, that's fine. You can absolutely think that. But here, you don't have to believe me. So I created it, so that means I own it. Yes, that is, you absolutely own it. Even if you don't exercise it, you still are the owner. Let's go on. Okay, so this is going to go on. It's going to talk about registering, which is people were saying, well, if it's not registered, you don't own it. That is false. That is false. Again, registering it only helps you in court. Now, do if I don't register, does that mean I can't defend it in court? Absolutely not. You can defend it all day long. You own it. You own it. That's why I exercise. I exercise my copyright. So on all of my social media, whether it's Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, I put a copyright statement. You can even go so far as to put that little C inside the circle. That's all you need to do to exercise it. That tells everyone, hey, this intellectual property is copyrighted. That's all you have to do. Now, if you don't do that, yeah, you can still defend it legally. You just have to show that, no, this was never intended to be royalty free. And that'll make it a little bit harder. But if you exercise your copyright and you say, hey, this is copyrighted, then there's no doubt in the court of law. Now, people who are registering their copyrights are people who are going to be, in general, people who are distributing. So I have been published in many different medias and periodicals. Uh, Everything that has ever been published of mine, I have negotiated where I still retain the copyright. In fact, with whatever, for instance, with one magazine that I was writing for, I negotiated with them. I was like, look, I don't really want to get paid. I will put out my stuff through you. You can publish it. We will share the copyright. So they have the ability to publish it as much as they want. I have the ability to publish it as much as I want. Am I going to publish all that stuff somewhere else? I don't know. Maybe one day I'll write a book and want to take some articles or stories that I've had published and take those and put those into that book. By me retaining my copyright, I don't have to ask that other intermediary, nor do I have to pay for it. I still retain my copyright. When you put it out there royalty free, anyone can use it. They don't even have to claim fair use. I don't register any of my stuff onto the government website. And I'll tell you right now, if anyone were to clip my show and put it onto YouTube and I don't like it, guess what? I can do a very quick copyright strike. And YouTube would absolutely defend my copyright strike. This is where it gets a little bit different. Meta, which is Facebook and Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, Rumble, True Social, Twitch, all these different areas all have different copyright rules. And primarily, how do they interpret fair use? That's what it comes down to. It's not really how do they interpret the copyright, it's how do they interpret fair use. Some are very stringent. YouTube is incredibly stringent. When you start a YouTube channel, you have to sign that terms of service, okay? YouTube is very strict in how they'll say pretty much any if anyone almost thinks that there's a copyright and does a strike, if you can't prove it's yours, you're going to lose that copyright strike. If another creator has put it up and they're claiming the copyright, it's going to be hard for you to unless if it's already been published on your channel, it's going to be hard for you to say no, that's absolutely mine. However, I've had people, especially one creator, who he always wants to put up my Facebook comments. But again, remember, I said all original media is copyrighted. Now, I really don't care if that guy wants to put up my comments. It is what it is. I stand by everything I say. Put all my comments up. I don't care. You need content, dude? There you go. I'm throwing you a bone. I'm interesting. You're not. That's why you're taking my words for content. Don't care. But if he were to start taking my pictures, any of the media, oh, you can bet I'm immediately going to copyright claim that. And that is why I have that little statement right there on my Facebook profile. All original media is copyrighted. And trust me, I will enforce that. And I do have other publishers and whatnot. There's, as I've said before, there are people who've taken my show and put it out on their platforms. Again, I retain the copyright, but I allow them to rebroadcast, reuse, all those type of things. I still own that content, and if someone who I don't want using that decides they want to use it, they better have a very strong case for fair use. If not, I'm going to get that shut down. Um, Meta is a little bit easier when it comes to copyright strikes. They will give a little bit more latitude than something as YouTube. And with YouTube, it's actually all of Google because Google owns YouTube. So that's one thing. With Twitter, Twitter's gone back and forth. It really depends upon how their terms of service are written on this day. I've seen Twitter be very strict on copyright. I've seen them be very loose with copyright. But I just wanted everyone to know this is how copyright works. People saying Jeremy's logo is not copyrighted because I went into a government website and it wasn't there. It's copyrighted. I guarantee. Well, I mean, Jeremy has copyright struck things all over his channel. His logo is all over his channel. Guess what? He has a very strong defense. If someone's using it, you're going to have to prove fair use or that he has somehow abandoned his copyright. I don't see any way how that copyright for his logo has been abandoned. He uses it on everything. His channel, he uses it on his Facebook, he uses it on his Twitter. So it's a legit copyright. People who are saying this stuff are either completely ignorant or who are confusing it with trademark. What do I think of Trump's statement to the Christians to go out and vote when he becomes president? You won't have to vote again. I did see that. He just means that your vote in this election is going to be more important than others. That's all he was stating. You have to watch the full quote on it. It really is not a big deal what people are making out to be. But I really want to stick to the copyright issue because this is going to be a very short live. But yeah. Now with trademarks are different than copyrights, and there's different laws that apply to trademarks. With trademarks, you actually have to register a trademark. Famously, in Brazil, Disney didn't register Mickey Mouse as a trademark. So there's, I believe it's a thing of oranges where they had Mickey Mouse plastered all over because they had no trademark there. In Japan, copyrights only last like 20 years. So if you wanted to take something and go to Japan and reprint it up, you could absolutely do that. The moment you take it outside of Japan, though, you're going to get sued. With trademarks, I do. If you want a trademark, I do highly suggest you get a lawyer. You get your stuff trademarked. There's less latitude, but you can't trademark everything. With Mickey Mouse, this year, Mickey Mouse was coming into the public domain. Well, for the last several years, Disney very wisely started using the Steamboat Willie Mickey Mouse, where he's whistling and he's at the wheel of the boat, and that became a trademark for their stuff. All they were doing was protecting Mickey Mouse for a couple of years. You can't do that indefinitely because you can only trademark so many things. You can't trademark everything, but you can only trademark a couple things. But they knew that people were going to try to, now that the copyright for Mickey Mouse, a Steamboat Willie version, is up, they knew people were going to make stuff. So if you want to use Steamboat Willie, you can't show him, there with Mickey Mouse with the hat behind the wheel. You can use every other part of Steamboat Willie, just that little very famous section. So Disney was wise. They did that. It only helps them for I think a couple years, but it did stop a lot of people. They were putting up a lot of stuff and it all was getting taken down for trademark infringement, not for copyright infringement. So that was happening in January and February this year. A lot of famous stuff. Um, pull up the YouTube copyright rules. Let me see if I can get them. They're very detailed. Yeah, they're very detailed. Here we go. Okay, rules and policies. Now this is only for YouTube. Creators should only upload videos they have made or that they are authorized to use. That means they should not upload videos they did not make or use content in their videos that someone else owns the copyright to, such as music tracks, snippets of copyrighted platforms, or videos made by other users without necessary authorizations. So that's the key thing. Copyright exceptions are laws that allow you to reuse someone else's copyright protected material without getting their permission, but only under certain circumstances. In the US, most widely known copyright exception is fair use. When deciding whether to use a fair, courts look at 4 factors: the purpose and the character of the use, the nature of the copyrighted work, the amount and sustainability of the portion used in relation to the copyrighted work as a whole, and the effect of the use upon the potential market for or value of the copyrighted work. Some activities may qualify as fair use, include criticism, commentary, and news reporting. Fair use aims to promote freedom of expression. Now, it does go on, but I want to point something out here. This is in the Jeremy Hales groups. Shara, she constantly uses videos on Facebook. Now remember, this is YouTube's copyright right here. This is their policy. Facebook, totally different policy. Now she adds the little stickers and everything in there to try to make it fair use. Now, whether or not that's actually legal through their terms of service, that's going to be between her, whoever's video she's using, and Facebook. I can tell you that with all these things, when you criticism, commentary, news reporting, fair use aims to promote freedom of expression. Those things, criticism, commentary, and news reporting, those things cause you to, as you're using that, to kind of change it in a way. And that's what I always tell people. Like, are you fundamentally changing this in one way or another? Just putting stickers on it doesn't really fundamentally change it. Now, I'm not giving legal advice. In fact, my little tagline down at the bottom of the show here for Skipper, it says, not giving legal advice. This is not legal advice. However, I am telling you as a content creator that you probably should add more than stickers. Pause it, give some type of commentary, make it smaller, like how I'm small in this window here. If you make it smaller, then you can be like, oh, no, that's just a portion of my total work. Again, you're running risks. Whenever you do that type of stuff, I have used YouTube videos, other videos on my show. You guys have seen it, but I always I don't try to full screen it. I try to fundamentally change it. I pause, me and TC, we talk about it. Those are the big things I do to try to make sure that I'm fulfilling the fair use clause. Now, the rest of this talks about the different countries. I can tell you, I have been copyright struck many times, and all it means in those countries is that that video gets demonetized. A lot of times it does not get taken down because, again, I am fundamentally changing the work, and here in the United States we do have fair use. So I try to be well within fair use as much as possible. Enforcing copyright. If a copyright owner submits a valid DMCA complaint through our web form, we take that down. We take down that video and apply a copyright strike. If a user gets 3 copyright strikes in 90 days, their account, along with any associated channels, will be terminated. We also have tools to help creators resolve their copyright strikes, including waiting for it to expire after 90 days, requesting a retraction, or submitting a counter notification. Content ID works differently. If a match between a reference file and a new upload is made, a claim is made based upon the preference selected by the copyright ID owner. We apply policy to track, monetize, or block. A good example of this is when, what was it, a couple weeks ago, I was in Las Vegas and I was walking around doing my live stream, and in the background there was all that music. I wasn't intentionally putting that music there. That was in the background, but I did receive copyright strikes. But those lives are still up. I was not intentionally doing anything to break anyone's copyright. And the other, as noted, if it's the radio's already paid for use of it, so it can be broadcast. It's already being, the radio is broadcasting it. You can actually go onto web pages and pull up any radio station, and it's being broadcast worldwide. That's the difference of the internet today, vice, 30, 40 years ago. So all these people trying to do things to try to get copyright strikes, you have to be smart. You have to know how to protect your own intellectual property, and you should also know the rules before you go mouthing off. Now, I know that guy who was using my comments is the one who's been pushing this whole narrative of, well, it's not registered on the site, so it's not copyrighted. I'm telling you right now, if you are listening to that guy, you are taking legal advice from a C lawyer and a complete and total idiot. That is a guy who cannot make his own content. He's got to farm everyone else for content. And when you do that, he's really dumb because his growth is limited. His growth is absolutely limited. And all he's going to do is make enemies of various content creators. No one's going to want to work with him. No one's going to trust him. And eventually he'll probably lose his account due to copyright strikes. So be careful with what you're posting out there. Don't listen to these C lawyers. Copyright, I always recommend exercise your copyright, because if you've done that, no one can ever say, I thought it was royalty free. Just by having all works are copyrighted, the little copyright C property of whatever, your name or the channel, any of those things. Everyone exercises their copyright differently. You got to find what works for you. But to say that something is not copyrighted because it's not on a various web page is completely stupid. So that's going to be it for this live stream. Thank you all for joining me. I hope you learned something. I hope you're taking something away. And hopefully you're all out there making some money off your content. Find some way to monetize it every single time. That's what Jeremy does. With anything I have monetized, it goes back to the foundation. So that's the other thing I want to address. People call me a grifter. I don't make money off this. I literally give it away to veterans and their families if they're in need. I don't pocket this. I'm not personally benefiting. All the things I do cost me money. So I don't know how I'm grifting, when I'm not making money off this stuff. So I hope you've learned something. And we will be back tomorrow with our normal show, me and TC. So that will be at 9 o'clock Eastern tomorrow. I believe we have a guest. I'll know closer to tomorrow if we have a guest. Sometimes guests flake on us, but it looks like right now we might have a guest. Yeah, don't steal people's logos. It's not smart. Not a smart thing to do. You just can't fix stupid. Yeah, well, that's how some people are. But you all have a great night. And as usual, thank you for being worth serving.